I was waiting for 3 or 4 years to finally see this fight animated. And my god, did it not look badass as fuck. Seeing Eren go up against the Armor Titan, which is Reiner, that was hype. Oh my god. And the thing is Reiner's Titan form is so broken. Like, it legit is broken. Think about it like this. It's like seeing a man that's completely naked, okay? Going up against a guy in riot armor. That's basically what was going on there. A man that was straight up naked going up against a guy in riot armor. And Eren, even though at the end, that cliffhanger, what the fuck, Eren was winning. He straight up was winning. The man was breaking Reiner's armor. He was just completely destroying it as he was just holding him. And the entire episode reminded me of something you would see from wrestling. These characters just wrestling, doing these moves and stuff, just keeping them in holds and all that, joint locks. I'm like, yo, this is some pretty intense stuff. And Wit Studio, like, you definitely outdid yourself with this episode. Like, my god, like, just seeing Reiner, Eren going at each other, and just to see how Reiner had so much force behind his fist. Like, when he hit Eren, and you just saw Eren's face just broke and all that into pieces, but when Eren went to go hit Reiner, his fist just broke because he couldn't, break the armor of Reiner, which just showed how powerful his Titan form was compared to Eren's. And when Eren eventually had to resort into some fighting techniques that Annie taught him, and also Reiner helped him out as well, it just really comes full circle. The development, all of this, and how it's very ironic that the reason why Reiner was losing the fight in the first place was thanks to him and Annie in the first place, because they were the ones that taught him these certain fighting techniques, and that is why he was able to fight Reiner in the first place throughout this episode. And I really like that. It really set the tone for this episode. When you saw the flashbacks to Annie just, having taught Eren how to fight and all that, and how he needs to be able to use his fist to go up against other people, and then eventually he was having to use these techniques again, and even though Annie is gone, we haven't seen her since, the first season, it's nice to see a callback to her, to see her stand up to Reiner and face him. But before he really started to win, I like how Eren, in his mind, he was trying to process everything that he just found out. I mean, think about it like this, okay? You grow up, basically, with these guys. You go into life or death situations with these guys, and you eat at the same table with these guys, and you find out they're traitors, and the whole reason they're there is to actually harm all of the people inside the wall, and the reason why your mother is dead in the first place, and all these people are dead, are thanks to these guys that you sat at the same table with, and ate food with, and then you were in life or death situations with. That's really hard to overcome. I mean, that is. I mean, think about it. Like, you go to war and stuff, and you're with these buddies of yours and all that, and you make it through, you come back, you're war heroes, or whatever, you just survive with the, scrape of your teeth and all that, but you manage to survive, you come back, and then after all of these great moments, laughs, smiles, all of this you've had, you realize they were traitors the entire time. They weren't really on your side. They were just putting on a mask, not really letting you see what they really were. And that entire moment of this episode with Eren trying to process what he was currently witnessing, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, when he says, I'm just absolutely disgusted, like, this is the most disgusted I've ever felt in my life, that makes sense, because you gotta remember how many years he's been with Reiner and Bert and all of them, how he trained with them, and seeing something like that is going to really hit you hard. And when he was like, I'm disgusted, that could not have been any more real than it was. And when he finally was like, that's it, and he started fighting, and he was remembering Annie and her fighting techniques and all that, that was a really good moment to show how he's willing to stand up and fight him, even if he was once his friend. That was some good stuff. But then, also, Mikasa's development. And this one is probably going to throw everyone for a loop while watching this episode, because many would be questioning, like, wait a minute, why didn't, Mikasa, kill Reiner and Bert in last week's episode? I mean, yeah, it was savage what she did. She went in, she filleted their necks and all that, about to kill them. It looked like basically they were dead. But Mikasa clarifies in this episode that she held back. For instance, even though she went for the jugular, even though she was basically cutting their throat, and that would have normally have killed a man, she knew that that probably wouldn't kill them, and that they were Titans. It's just she didn't do it because of her feelings towards them. And this is what is going to shock many throughout this episode, anime onlys, while watching this episode, is the fact that Mikasa actually cares about others besides just Eren and Armin. I mean, think about it. From everything we've seen from her character, it always seemed like she only cared about Eren. Like, Eren this, Eren that, always protecting him, always protecting Armin and all that. But it wasn't just them. Over time, training with these guys, spending time with them, life or death situations with them, you grow close to said individuals. That's what happens. And even if Mikasa is a stone cold person and she only cares about a certain select few, she did gain emotions for others, which shows in how she felt about Reiner and Bert and why she couldn't completely slice their head off. And that's why they were able to escape, because she had those feelings for them, which perfectly represents how Eren was feeling. Because if that can be done for Mikasa, think about how Eren was feeling. So that just really puts into perspective of how this episode and the emotions just swelling up inside of these characters. But to make it even worse, though, think about Connie. This poor man, Connie. This man has lost so much. He's lost his entire town. He's lost his family. And the entire time when Reiner was there, he's like, everything is fine. And it's obvious he knew something, but he didn't really care. He's just putting on, like, a face, a mask. And Connie, even though we know, us as the viewer know, that Reiner and Bert are the enemies, Connie doesn't know that yet. And he's like, where's Reiner? Where's Bert? They don't have, the one-dimensional maneuver gear. Like, where are they? They need to get out of here. And he was really worried. And I was like, that's really sad, because Connie really cares about them. He really deeply cares about them. And when he finds out that they are the enemy, and they're partially for the reason why his family is dead in the first place, that's going to hit him. And I feel bad for him, because this poor man, he's been through so much these last couple episodes, and he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know all the heinous shit going on around him, and I feel bad. I feel very bad for this character, Connie, right now, but that'll definitely lead into some character development in the future. Regardless, though, the fighting of this episode, that was good. That was like end of Attack on Titan Season 1 quality. Eren and the Armored Titan just going at each other and all that. Great stuff. So, besides that, let's talk about the conclusion. The cliffhanger. Oh my god. Like, even though I know what's gonna happen, that cliffhanger is a dick. Like, I was getting into this episode, I'm like, this is getting hype. Like, I was getting all jumping for joy, like, yes! And then all of a sudden, episode ends, I'm like, really? I was really mad, because I was getting into it, I was bouncing in my seat and all, I'm like, this is so good! And then the episode ends, just when Bert comes off the wall and all that, and he's falling over. I'm like, why? Why would you do this to me? But the episode ends, I'm like, damn it, now we gotta wait until next week for the newest episode. Now, one last thing I do want to talk about that needs to be mentioned is definitely the CGI of this episode. I did complain about it in last week's episode with, the Colossal Titan having that CGI form and all that. I said it was kind of, like, oof. Yeah, and I didn't want to complain too much about it, because I know about the recent insight to, animators, how much they're having to work and stuff. It makes sense, but it still looked pretty damn terrible. But I have to admit, the way the CGI was used in this episode, it was a lot more presentable compared to the previous episode, especially the scene when, the Survey Corps, they're rushing alongside the arm of the Colossal Titan, and then they try to go for his neck. That was a great scene, and that probably couldn't have been as good if it wasn't for the CGI. So sometimes CGI can look really good, and in this case, it definitely worked for that scene. So I do want to, do a quick clap for Wit Studios for actually using CGI to the best of their abilities at that moment. So good stuff on that regard. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.